your next fight that I feel kind of catapulted you to becoming more of a household name after that. I feel you fought Paul Malignaggi.
Yeah.
And then I remember that fight, like after he was done, like he was through the ropes, bro. Probably hell of a fighter. I ain't taking nothing from you. We just call him what I seen as a boxing fan. Like he was out there, he didn't want no more. What was the fight over in like the third round?
It was the fourth round.
Fourth round. I knew I was close.
We were the co-main event that night, and I don't remember who the main event was. But this is what I do know. This is one thing that's required for a fighter to kind of like get a household name. If you're on the undercard of a big fight, people are watching.
Right.
The closer you get to that big fight, the more people are watching. So we had ended up being a co-main. I could be wrong. I feel like it might have been Chad Dawson or something like that was the main event, but it was enough for me to really like explode like that against Paulie the way that I did.
You did.
And people like, yo, this dude is something serious. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Plus, I really felt you wasn't scared of his power. I really thought
with Paulie, you wasn't scared of his speed. You know what I mean?
Right.
You couldn't. I didn't let him get started. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, you rushed him.
He really didn't even start the gas tank. You know what I mean? He didn't start the car.
You rushed him.
You know, we've talked about that fight, man. Paulie's a great guy. You know what I mean? And we talked about the fight. He said, he's like, I was closer to retirement than I knew. He said, when a bell rang, and I told him, I said, I cut you with my very first punch I threw. He said, yeah, I know. He said, when I felt the blood drip, he was like, I knew then it was over.
Bro, he looked like, damn, I got in the ring with the wrong young lion.
To the fight with us. You know what I mean? So I tell people all the time, man, when you talk about my fight, in a nutshell, timing is key.
Timing is key.
Everybody say, oh, you fought everybody. Well, guess what? I was on the right side where everybody was at. You know what I mean? And it was perfect timing for me to be able to fight everybody, you know?
Now, if you don't mind me asking, your first loss, right? That came by way of, was it Keith?
I might ask.
You mind me asking? Well, the only reason I'm only asking on the Main Event podcast, because sometimes you got to ask the questions you don't want to ask. And it's the homie, so I feel comfortable enough to ask the homie, you know? But
he was going to ask me anyway. He's trying to start something.
Hey, man, I'm a constant three-peater. That's what I do. But that fight was very close, bro, between you and Keith Gurley.
Yeah.
I can't really say Keith won hands down like that. I watched the fight. Like, I could have, a draw would have been good in my book, or maybe leaning it your way, not just because you here, but just because I watched the fight 3 times.
I know.
You feel me?
I know.
What lessons did you take from that loss right there with Keith feeling like you won?
So check it out. So go back just a little bit.
Okay.
I don't want to rob you of the right information. So the first loss,
clear me up.
The first loss was right after Paulie. I fought Kell Brook. Remember, I fought Kell in L.A.
Yes, you did fight Kell in L.A.
And I lost to Kell in L.A.
Yes, you did.
I fought Kell the exact same way for 12 rounds, right? So the lesson I learned from that fight was you got to be able to make adjustments.